WADR. Promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar and Accra. Good evening and welcome to Newslink, broadcasting on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. First, our top stories. Security operatives in Senegal intercept large quantity of explosive near Malian border amid heightened security. Over 26,000 residents face eviction as Niger forces aviation safety measures at Dori Hamani Airport.
We respectfully draw the attention of the authorities to the human and social consequences that a brutal eviction could engender.
In Nigeria, hundreds of teachers in the southwest region protest the abduction and killing of their colleagues by gunmen.
The manhunt has started and we've been working assiduously to ensure that the adopted school children and the teacher are rescued.
Sierra Leone activates emergency health protocols following new Ebola outbreak in DR Congo. Please stay tuned for the details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is Veronique Joy.
Glad to have you join us. This edition of Newslink begins in Senegal as a police command near the Malian border has intercepted a large cache of explosive materials. The seized items were the result of a late-night operation conducted by officers in Kidira, an already insecure-prone area near the Malian border. Authorities say the seizure also highlights growing security concerns linked to illegal gold mining activities in the region. Imo Edit has more details in this report.
At least 660 explosive sticks and 1,000 meters of detonating cord were seized during operations carried out by police units attached to the Diabougou border post under the Special Commission of Kidira. According to police authorities, the explosives were discovered during a targeted crackdown on cross-border trafficking routes frequently used by smugglers operating between Senegal and Mali. Kidira has already been highlighted as an insecure area in recent times due to the deteriorating security situation in Mali. Investigators say the suspect, described as a foreign national, attempted to transport the materials through an unofficial route commonly used by pedestrians and motorcyclists. But after spotting security operatives, the suspect reportedly abandoned 2 bags containing the explosives along with a blue motorcycle and personal belongings before fleeing across a river into Malian territory. Preliminary investigations indicate the explosives were destined for Diabougou village, where they were allegedly meant to be used in clandestine gold mining operations. Police say the seized materials and motorcycle are now in custody as investigations continue, while efforts are underway to track down and arrest the suspect.
That was Imo Evet with that report. In Niger, more than 26,000 people leaving in the Dori Hamani International Airport in Niamey are expected to leave the area from May 31st. 4 illegal settlements, including Mutram and Alpha Jadi, are directly affected by the large-scale eviction operation. According to authorities, the measure is an absolute necessity for aviation safety and national security. Deborah Amour gives details of the story.
According to the Nigerian government, nearly 19% of the reserved airport land has now been occupied by residential buildings. It maintains that aviation safety and security standards must be respected. The Minister of Public Security, Major General Mohammed Tumba, reiterates the government's firm position on state television.
If they wake up tomorrow to say that Niamey Airport is closed, what are we going to do? People should already keep in their minds that, well, there it is. We have no choice but to let people leave, because we have all witnessed, unfortunately, what happened at our airport.
The governor of the Niamey region, Major General Asuman Abdu Haruna, has been conducting several visits to clearly define the boundaries of the land title and reassure residents about the support measures promised by the authorities. Despite these promises of compensation, anxiety and distress remain widespread among residents. Many say they are about to lose the investment of a lifetime. Bashar Hassan is a member of the negotiation committee for the affected areas.
We respectfully draw the attention of the authorities to the human and social consequences that a brutal eviction could engender, the massive displacement of families, and on the eve of a rainy season, without any relocation solutions for many vulnerable families, the loss of investments made over several years without any guarantee of real compensation. If the physical security of the territory is essential, the social security of the populations also constitute a fundamental pillar of social justice, which is dear to the ongoing process of refounding.
The May 31 deadline is fast approaching, heightening tensions in Niamey. Faced with what authorities describe as a security emergency for the capital, thousands of lives are about to be disrupted. For the Dialogue Committee, the coming weeks will be crucial in preventing social unrest.
A report by our Niamey correspondent Yakuba Habibulai, presented by Deborah Amuwo. In Nigeria, hundreds of teachers in Oyo State today staged protest over the abduction and killing of their colleagues over the weekend. According to reports, the teachers, 7 in number, were kidnapped during a recent attack in schools in Oriri local government area. The development has renewed concerns about insecurity around schools and the safety of teachers and students in parts of Nigeria. WADR's Yechenu Sasitu reports from Abuja.
Security is a right. Protect us.
Academic activities were disrupted across parts of Ogbomoso as teachers staged protests demanding stronger security measures after the abduction of teachers and pupils in Orire local government area of Oyo State. The demonstrators marched to the TESCOM office, calling on both government and security agencies to act swiftly. According to authorities, armed attackers stormed the area, abducting several teachers and pupils, while one victim was reportedly killed during the incident. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde confirmed that 7 teachers were kidnapped in the attack and urged residents to remain vigilant.
Security is not the responsibility of government alone. It is a shared duty. So we must continue to encourage citizens to remain vigilant, share timely information with security agencies, and work together to isolate criminal elements wherever they may be.
Meanwhile, spokesperson for the Oyo State Police Command, Olayinka Ayalande, says coordinated rescue operations are ongoing.
The manhunt has started and we've been working assiduously to ensure that the adopted kids, school children, and the teachers are rescued. All I'll say at this point is that the good people of Oyo State to link up.
He also disclosed that some suspects connected to the attack have already been arrested, while efforts continue to secure the release of those still being held captive.
We've made arrests where suspects in custody, and investigation is ongoing to determine the role they play in the incident. We are doing everything possible to dismantle all criminal networks within the state.
Secure our future, release our future, our lives.
The incident has triggered widespread concern among education stakeholders and residents, with renewed calls for tighter security around schools and vulnerable rural communities. For WADR, Yechenu Sasetu in Abuja.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, in a separate development, the jury in London bribery trial of former Nigerian Minister of Petroleum Resources has begun deliberating after nearly 4 months of proceedings at Southwark Crown Court. Dizani Alison Madueke, who served under former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan between 2010 and 2015, denies 5 counts of accepting bribes and 1 count of conspiracy to commit bribery. Although her case has been before the justice system in London, the jury said today that verdicts will be issued against the former minister and 2 others accused persons in the alleged scandal. Francis Boniface tells us more.
At the reopening of the trial on Monday, prosecutors renewed claims that former Nigerian oil minister Dienzani Alison Maduekwe lived an extravagant lifestyle in London, allegedly enjoying luxury homes and high-end shopping trips paid for by powerful figures in the oil industry. The court heard allegations that the benefits were provided by businessmen seeking lucrative contracts in Nigeria's oil and gas sector during her time in office. But Alison Maduekwe's defense team pushed back against the accusations, maintaining that she had limited independent power to influence contracts or divert public funds, describing her role as largely a rubber stamp for official decisions. In testimony delivered last month, the former minister firmly denied ever requesting or accepting bribes. Also before the court are oil executive Olatimbo Ayinde, facing bribery-related charges, and Alison Maduekwe's brother, Doye Agama, who is accused of conspiracy to commit bribery linked to a church project. Both men denied the allegations. Jurors were sent out on Monday morning to begin considering verdicts on the 8 charges facing the 3 defendants.
That was Francis Boniface with that report. Elsewhere in Liberia, the government, through the Ministry of Youth and Sports, has officially launched a new phase of the National Cadet Program to increase youth employment opportunities. According to the authorities, more than 1,000 young people will be assigned to public and private institutions for internships as part of efforts to address youth unemployment. Officials say the redesigned program will now have been expanded from 8 countries to all 15 counties in Liberia, marking one of the largest youth empowerment drives undertaken by the government in recent years. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
The National Cadet Program, widely regarded as one of Liberia's flagship youth empowerment initiatives, was originally established on June 11, 1986, during the administration of a former President Samuel Doe. Since then, the initiative has provided thousands of young Liberians with temporary employment, professional mentorship, and opportunities to transition into full-time careers. Speaking at the launch in Bankabon County, Liberia's Finance and Development Planning Minister, Augustine Gafuan, described the Cadet initiative as an important investment in the country's future workforce.
The next launch of the National Cadet Program also comes on the heels of several other empowerment and capacity building initiatives being undertaken by several other government ministries and agencies. This is government practicing what it preaches.
Also speaking, Youth and Sports Minister Colleen Okra said the expansion of the program demonstrates the government's commitment to creating opportunities for young Liberians regardless of their country or background.
The National Cadet Program has expanded from 8 counties to 15 counties. We have transitioned from 235 cadets to 1,100 cadets. There has been a shift from 3 months to 6 months.
Beneficiaries have welcomed the initiative, saying the program offers hope to many young graduates struggling to enter the job market. The latest expansion of the National Cadet Program comes at a time when Liberia continues to face growing concerns over youth unemployment, with thousands of graduates entering the labor market each year. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
And now to politics and governance. Cape Verde's major opposition African Party for the Independence of Cabo Verde has secured a majority of seats at the National Assembly following Sunday's legislative elections. According to provisional results published early morning by the Electoral Commission in Praia, PAICV won 37 seats, while the ruling Movement for Democracy, MPD, secured 32 seats in the 72-member legislature. The early outcome suggests a likely return of power for the PAICV, dealing a setback to the Prime Minister and his bid for a 3rd consecutive term in office. As a reminder, more than 400,000 people cast their ballots yesterday May 17th across the island nation and within the diaspora. Election officials say the provisional results are still being compiled, with final certified figures expected to be validated by the Constitutional Court in the coming days. Frederick Ndeki, a governance and policy expert, joins us in the guest segment for analysis. Now in the Gambia, a civil society organization called Activista Gambia is dedicated to creating a strong framework for protecting citizens' rights. Over the weekend, the organization convened lawmakers, civil society representatives, and community leaders to discuss strategies for enhancing democratic accountability and encouraging citizens' participation. The meeting reviewed progress made through constituency dialogues held across the country and explored how citizens' concerns can be incorporated into parliamentary work. From Banjul, Sang Donald Mendy reports.
The Constituency Dialogues initiative by Activista Gambia seeks to improve engagement between elected representatives and the communities they served. The project provides citizens with an opportunity to raise concerns, identify development priorities, and engage directly with lawmakers. Ansumana Kamara, National Coordinator of Activista Gambia, says the initiative is designed to promote inclusion and ensure that citizens' voices are reflected in decision-making processes.
This is the real People's Assembly, but we will also plead with the National Assembly members to say we would want pledges from you so that you are able to also commit yourselves to some of the recommendations, because this is not from us. These recommendations are from your people.
Meanwhile, civil society representatives attending the meeting welcomed the initiative, describing it as an important platform for strengthening trust between citizens and elected officials. Organizers say they hope the constituency dialogues will help promote accountability and encourage more responsive leadership across the country. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Sangdala Mendy, reporting from Banjul.
You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM in Dakar and online at wadr.org. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Security operatives in Senegal intercept large quantity of explosive near Malian border amid heightened security. Over 26,000 residents face eviction as Niger enforces aviation safety measures in Dori-Hamani Airport. In Nigeria, hundreds of teachers in the southwest region protest abduction and killing of their colleagues by gunmen. Still ahead in the news, Sierra Leone activates emergency health protocols amid new Ebola outbreak in DR Congo. We also have the guest interview and the sports news. Stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, the government of Sierra Leone has activated emergency health protocols and enhanced screening at all major entry points in response to a new outbreak of the Ebola virus disease in Central Africa. In a public notice issued on Sunday, May 17, 2026, the National Public Health Agency, NPHA, reassured citizens that Sierra Leone currently remains entirely Ebola-free, with 0 confirmed, suspected, or probable cases within its borders. However, authorities are moving swiftly to prevent the virus from entering the country. Details by Sankule Janko.
An active outbreak of the Bundibuyok strain of Ebola has been declared in Ituri Province, Democratic Republic of Congo, where 246 suspected cases and 65 deaths have already been recorded. Neighboring Uganda has also confirmed 1 imported death related to the outbreak. While Sierra Leone's National Public Health Agency officially assesses the country's immediate risk as low, Executive Director Brigadier General Fode Sarr notes that the devastating national experience of the 2014-2016 Ebola epidemic dictates aggressive, proactive measures. To shield the country from the elevated regional threat, the Sierra Leonean government has convened the National Emergency Health Committee and activated the Public Health Emergency Operations Center to Alert Level 2, which depicts heightened readiness. Key preventive measures currently underway include border screening at Longi International Airport, Freetown Harbour, and critical land borders including Cambia, Balamuya, and Kailahun. Personal protective equipment, isolation materials, and rapid diagnostic tools have also been deployed to the western area and border districts. Additionally, rapid response teams have been placed on standby across all 16 districts of the country, and infection prevention and control protocols have been reinforced at major health facilities. The NPHA is urging the public to avoid all necessary travel to affected regions in the DRC and Uganda.
That was Sankule Janko with that report. The World Health Organization, WHO, has declared the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda a public health emergency of international concern, following at least 80 reported deaths linked to the virus. The outbreak, caused by the rare Bundibugyo strain of Ebola, has spread across several health zones in eastern DR Congo, with authorities also confirming a case in the city of Goma. Augustine Coley has more details in the following report.
The World Health Organization says while the outbreak does not yet qualify as a global pandemic emergency, the risk of the disease spreading to neighboring countries remains high due to cross-border movement. In the DRC, health officials warn the outbreak could be far larger than current figures suggest, as suspected infections continue to rise. Furthermore, the UN Health Agency states that the situation is especially concerning because there are currently no approved vaccines or treatments specifically targeting the Bundibugyo strain of the virus responsible for the resurgence. Currently, the World Health Organization is urging countries to strengthen cross-border screening, isolate confirmed cases, and closely monitor contacts while cautioning against border closures. As of Monday, May 18, Uganda has recorded confirmed cases in the capital Kampala, including one death involving travelers arriving from DR Congo. Thousands of kilometers away from the continent, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control has activated its emergency response system and plans to deploy more personnel to both DR Congo and Uganda, while the U.S. Embassy in Kinshasa has issued a health alert advising Americans against travel to Ituri province. Ebola, first identified in DR Congo in 1976, spreads through direct contact with bodily fluids of infected persons and can cause fever, vomiting, diarrhea, and severe internal bleeding.
That was Augustine Coley with that report.
Politics,
Analysis on major news,
social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, our guest this evening is Frederick Ndeki, a governance and policy analyst. In this interview with WADR, he analyzes the projected victory of the opposition African Party for the Independence of Cabo Verde, PAICV, in Sunday's legislative elections. More than 400,000 voters headed to the polls to elect members of the parliament across the island nations and the diaspora. According to the provisional figures from the Electoral Commission, the PAICV secured 37 seats in the 72-member assembly, while the ruling Movement for Democracy, MPD, won 33 seats. Ndeki explains what it would mean for the opposition if the projected victory is confirmed in the coming days.
Talking about a country that is a consolidated democracy, which means that if you're running the country and not meeting the expectations of the people, they change you. It happens. There's no power which can be in Cape Verde, as we see in other countries, renewing terms, mandates without making results on the ground. If this is not happening, for sure, you know that you are going to be sanctioned, and this is what is likely happening now in Cape Verde. First of all, this is not a surprise because there is sort of expression of dissatisfaction of this governance, the governance of the regime. And this is what is now, what these elections is now showing.
That's interesting. And talking about the outgoing or could be outgoing Prime Minister Ulysses Correa Silva, who has been ruling through the MPD after 2 terms in office, What does this provisional result say about public sentiment towards the outgoing Prime Minister?
It's dissatisfaction to the end. It means clearly that people are not satisfied of his governance. They are not satisfied of the implementation of the program he sold to the people, which has been bought. So this dissatisfaction is now being turned into a sort of sanction to his regime. So it starts with the parliament, and it's likely going to be acted through all the process through the presidency.
If this projected victory is confirmed, how could a return to power by the opposition PARCV reshape governance, including policy priorities in Cabo Verde? Yeah,
governance, in this country, there are sort of pillars which, whenever you don't make results in implementing your program in these pillars, then it becomes obvious that the Cape Verdean people are going to sanction you. So these pillars are the governance pillars, accountability and fighting corruption. These people, they don't give room for tolerance in these areas. You have to be really clean in this. Your program have to be fully implemented in these areas. And there are also sort of growing inequalities on the social area in Cape Verde. And it's obvious that the outgoing government didn't make a result, didn't do a lot in this area.
What challenges is the opposition likely to face as it transitions from campaigning to governing right now?
Yeah, they first have to consolidate this victory. We are still on the results are still displaying. They have to confirm a majority, which can really help them do the parliament and pass the bills. Because if you don't have a clear majority, you will then have to compromise that in some areas with the would-be opposition, which is now the current majority. So you have to have a landslide, win by a landslide, to make sure that you will be free to rule. And then implement the program they have presented to the people, which is in these areas I just talked about.
That was Frederick Ndeki, a governance and policy analyst. And now we're here with the sports update. We begin in boxing. Cameroonian MMA star Francis Ngannou is set to make his return to mixed martial arts this weekend in Los Angeles, where he will face Brazilian fighter Philip Lins. The heavyweight clash will take place at the Intuit Dome in California during an event organized by MVP and streamed on Netflix. Since leaving the UFC in 2023 following a contract dispute, the 39-year-old fighter has focused on boxing, taking part in high-profile matches against Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Ngannou has hinted a future shutdown with John Jones, saying he will prefer if the fight would take place in Africa. And we have come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM in Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Ismaila Kamara and Maudo Juve for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X, Instagram, and Facebook at WADR English. I am Veronique Jai. Good evening.
We thank you for listening to Newslink in Nigeria on Love FM Abuja and Darling FM Owerri. In the Gambia on Hot FM Banjul, Hilltop FM and Veritas Radio in Serekunda. Thank you for listening on Alternative Youth Radio Lofa County, Liberia, Radio Kegaman in Nimba County, and DCN Radio Riverses County. A big thank you to Radio Graft FM in Sierra Leone for listening, and in Ghana we thank Radio Pad in Damango and Royals FM in Wenchi. Thank you all for listening to Newslink.
West Africa Democracy Radio. West Africa Democracy Radio. West Africa.